Happy Tuesday, August 26th. Today we're going to go over Deuteronomy 14. And since this is the same narrative story song that Moses is telling us, it continues. So kind of at the end they talk about doing what's right in the sight of Yahweh your God. 14:1 says, "You are the sons of Yahweh your God." That pretty much explains it. I am your God, you are my people. You shall not cut yourselves or make any baldness on your foreheads for the dead. Context clue for me there is that probably means that was a pagan practice, and God does not want them to kind of cut half their beards off or gouge themselves or, cut their hair all crazy. So, for you are a people holy to the Lord your God, and Yahweh has chosen you to be a people for his treasured possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. Now, why did he do that? He made covenants, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, because they were walking with God. What was the point? To get to Jesus. The lineage of Jesus was going to come through these people. So then he continues, "You shall not eat any abomination. These are the animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roebuck, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep." Now, we already kind of talked about how when they get in the land, they'll kind of be able to eat from their flocks as well, but that kind of covers the ox, the sheep, and the goat, which meant the ones they were already able to eat were the deer, gazelle, roebuck, wild goat, ibex, antelope, and the mountain sheep. Every animal that parts the hoof and has the hoof cloven in two and chews the cud among the animals you may eat. Yet of those that chew the cud or have hoof cloven you shall not eat those. The camel. Yet of those who chew the cud or have the hoof cloven you shall not eat these. I read that already. The camel, the hare, and the rock badger, because they chew the cud but do not part the hoof, are unclean for you. The pig, because it parts the hoof but does not chew the cud, is unclean for you. Their flesh you shall not eat, their carcasses you shall not touch. Now this is about holiness, this is about obedience, this is about following what God says, more than necessarily any dietary improvements. Now, not eating some of these animals in the desert would be good, because if you're walking through the desert, you don't have time to cook pork enough to get all the bad stuff out of it potentially. But I don't think that had anything to do with it. This is more about obedience. Camels are just gross. They contain a lot of diseases too. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think mostly it had to do with obedience. Don't eat these animals. Of all that are in the waters, you may eat these. Whatever has fins and scales, you may eat. Whatever does not have fins and scales, you shall not eat. It is unclean for you. Again, not necessarily this is better for you, this is unhealthy for you, it's just unclean. Obedience. Learn to be obedient. You may eat all clean birds, but these are the ones you shall not eat: the eagle, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite, the falcon of any kind, raven of any kind, the ostrich, the nighthawk, the seagull, the hawk of any kind, the little owl, the short-eared owl, and the barn owl, the tawny owl, the carrion vulture, and the cormorant, the stork, the heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. And all winged insects are unclean for you, they shall not be eaten. All clean winged things you may eat. So some of these could have been because if an animal died naturally, Israel couldn't eat it, regardless of whether it was clean or unclean. A lot of these birds mentioned, a lot of the flying winged insects, ate that rotten flesh. And since you couldn't eat anything that had the blood in it, that died naturally, eating of these animals that did that could be part of the reason why it doesn't say. It's just obedience. Be obedient to what God says. The very next verse is kind of what I just talked about, so I ruined it for you. I'm sorry. You shall not eat anything that has died naturally. You may give it to the sojourner who is within your towns, that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner, but they couldn't eat it themselves. For you are a people holy to Yahweh your God. So that kind of tells you that that wasn't an unhealthy practice, unclean for the Israelites. So this is about being set apart, being a holy people, and being obedient to God. Tithes. You shall tithe all the yield of your seed that comes from your field year by year. So 10% was the tithe, and they would tithe that year by year. And before Yahweh your God, in the place that he will choose, they had those cities that we mentioned chapters ago. I probably should have looked that up beforehand, but I didn't. So if you want to look it up, I'll try to leave a reference in the note. the cities where they would sacrifice. In the place that he will choose to make his name dwell there, you shall eat the tithe of your grain, of your wine, of your oil, and the firstborn of your herd and flock. You may learn to fear Yahweh your God always. And that's not necessarily terrified to fear, but honor and respect. If the way is too long for you so that you are not able to carry the tithe, when God blesses you because the place is too far, then you could turn it into money and then give that to the Levites and the priests. The Levites and the priests didn't have any land. They didn't have any land, so they couldn't grow crops. Now, they would have flocks, mostly given by the people, but they would not have had any way to get that stuff without buying it. So that was to God, and the Levites got a portion of that. And that was how they survived. And it says that later. And you shall not neglect the Levite who is within your towns, for he has no portion or inheritance with you. Okay, so you shall turn it into money and bind up your money into your hand and go to the place that Yahweh chooses. So go to one of those towns and spend the money for whatever you desire. Oxen, sheep, wine, or strong drink, whatever your appetite craves. So the point of this tithing, of being able to eat the tithe of your grain, your wine, your oil, was, I can't remember the name of the sacrifice, but it was the meal. That you're having a meal with God to say thank you for all that he's blessed you with. And that was part of that sacrifice. Notice in this, oxen, sheep, wine, or strong drink, none of those things are forbidden. Now, you shouldn't get drunk on wine or strong drink, but you could buy whatever you wanted with that. At the end of every 3 years, you shall bring out all the tithe of your produce in the same year and lay it up within your towns. And the Levite, because he has no portion or inheritance with you, and the sojourner, the fatherless, the widow, those who are within your towns, shall come and eat and be filled, that Yahweh your God may bless you in all the work of your hands that you do. Now, I think it would be cool if there was a way we did that today, where you lived on so many years and then you took the tithe 1 year and you just gave it away. You took care of the people that needed it, the fatherless, the widow, the homeless, the Levite who couldn't grow crops, the sojourner, the immigrant. It'd be cool if there was a more structural way that we did that, rather than just people doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. Now we kind of give it to the government and expect the government to kind of give handouts to people. I'm not a fan of that because it really takes the personal nature of it out. Unless you're giving them things yourself, you don't see that person. You don't see what they need. So this is something that kept people close to the poor and downtrodden people. I think it's a pretty cool way to do it. And this was to make sure that everyone was taken care of. So every year the tithe would be something that they could eat their grain, wine, or oil, the firstborn of herds and flocks. You may learn to fear Yahweh, or you could turn it into money and then buy whatever you wanted. Now, these are supposed to be the sacrifice that you ate with God as a meal, just kind of as a way to say thank you. And it'd be cool if we did that a little better today too, where we ate together, we broke bread together, and we shared meals with each other more, just as a way to say thank you to God and to say thank you to the people around us. Tomorrow I'll go over Deuteronomy 15. So have a good day.